All right, y'all. Today we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business. Gonna see if it's local search and it's city search. Gonna see if either of them or both of them have BSS. So we're back here in the GBC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers, turn them into the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More on that, pin post, home post on the video, whatever. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So if a boudoir photography business is rising, they're probably most likely bringing in peeps from the entire intent spectrum, way over on the left, highest intent, way over on the right, lowest intent. But if a boudoir photography business is falling, they're missing at least one or one cohort, or at least probably two cohorts as well from this intent spectrum. Now, way over on the left, we got BSS boudoir search sameness, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. But way on the left, that's what we're talking about here. These videos, talking about the highest intent peeps, people searching for boudoir photo shoots right now in our, right in our city, searching on social media, searching on Google, and wherever on the left, the lowest intent people. That's our sister brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. We're talking about BLCS, kind of a unique niched problem. And we actually, with that brand, we currently only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand per month in boudoir Facebook ads. So now onward. So BSS is boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 slots on page 1 of Google, that means we're on page, page 2 or deeper. That's gonna be a fast death for our business because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even make it to page 2. They're page 1 only searches. And so if we're stuck on page 0, that's a fast track to death. And if we got 1 slot on page 1, that's not good enough either, because then we're looking the same as all the other boudoir photographers. Probably going to be none other boudoir photographers. So buyers just going to click and open up everybody's link, get a quote from everyone, price shop everyone. Whereas 80% of those buyers, the bulk that we care about, would never even go to page 2. So even on page 1, we're still getting super, super, super price shopped. Now 0 or 1 slots on page 1 in Google is not normal. It's an extremely small number. It's normal is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. So 0 or 1 slot on page 1 of Google, extremely, extremely, extremely common though. People are accepting of it being common because people do not know about the false belief of page 1 equality. Now, the market saturation, basically everyone knows about that. Someone's getting a new iPhone, they're throwing up on Google My Business profile on Google Maps. They got their website app, trying to rank page 1 for boudoir photographer. And so more supply. Same with someone's getting a new camera, and then they're talking, they're posting in the mom Facebook groups saying that, saying they offer boudoir shoots now as well. Again, another increase in supply. And COVID was a big, massive supply shock of boudoir photographers because a lot of people lost their jobs. People still need to earn money though. Everyone's got a phone with basically everyone's got a phone with a super powered camera. So offering boudoir photo shoots even for new peeps was, kind of an easy in. And as a result, super increased the supply of boudoir photographers. And if there's the same number of buyers remained, then then it's going to be harder and harder for sellers to make the same amount of money. Now, false belief of page 1 equality, this, from what I've seen, is the #1 killer of boudoir photography businesses. What this is boudoir photographers saying, all right, I got 1 slot on page 1 here on my website, and some other boudoir photographers came in, entered the marketplace, got their website ranked higher than mine. So, pushing me down to page 2, but that's simply how it is. Hopefully one of them deletes their websites and maybe Google will put me back on page 1. Because right now I'm invisible on page 2. Approximately 80% of searchers never even get to me. And, just kind of letting those things happen. That's a false belief. Google actually will give us as many slots on page 1 as we want, as we put in the effort to acquire. And Google wants to give us those slots. I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in only 10 days with this new methodology I developed. Now, final piece here on the left side, a boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is a disappearing boudoir photographer, DBP. So left side of our universe, disappearing boudoir photographer. Well, that's because, if we got BSS, we're either 0 or 1 slot on page 1. So basically, we're either on page 2 of Google, which means we're definitely disappearing. Approximately 80% of searches never even get to page 2. And if we're on page 1, then and we only got 1 slot, we're looking the same as everyone else. We're being price shopped to death, and we're actually, disappearing as well. And so, a disappearing boudoir photographer, having BSS, this is the canary in the coal mine, kind of the warning flag, the warning light, check engine light going on, saying, hey, we are on a path now to actually lose for the boudoir photography business itself to disappear. But luckily, we now have a solution. That solution, we know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S cubed methodology. And when we treat, so we invented this, so that's how I know it works. It's exactly what the name is, social search saturation. We're saturating social search. And for the highest intent keywords. And basically, it's kind of like the backside of the Andes Mountains. When we saturate social search, there's like the small streams, the small rivers on the backside of the Andes Mountains in South America. They actually flow into the Amazon River. And with the Amazon River, what actually happens is they all converge to the Amazon River. That's like conversion on page 1 of Google. Now, this is the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that actually allows them to overcome market saturation extremely quickly. The only one other option would be, actually having a well-known brand. That takes, 5 to 10 years. We ain't got 5 to 10 years. AI's here, coming to take people's jobs, and we got to max rank as fast as possible, as there's a whole bunch of boudoir photographers going to be entering the market. So, SQ methodology, yeah, it is the only thing I've seen for boudoir photographers that successfully enables them to fight back and overcome market saturation. I mean, imagine, imagine if there's a million boudoir photographers in San Francisco, and we're one of them. Everyone's got a website competing to be page 1 on Google. And what actually happens is we max out our S-cubed methodology, literally basically do it as max as possible. And as a result, we're getting like the first 300 slots on social search, first 300 slots on Google search. And when we do that, whenever any buyer searches for Google or, on Google or social search, high intent keywords for boudoir photo shoot in their city, we're basically the only one they find for the first 300 slots. And, we essentially pushed all the competition down to slots 301 or later. So on Google, it's 10 organic slots per page. And 10 organic slots per page is, that's 30 pages we're taking up. Buyers essentially got to go to page 31 to even find out that we are, to find out our competitors. So obviously, whose business is growing in this scenario? Ours, because we saturated basically kind of everywhere they can look. So again, this SQG methodology is the only solution I've seen that allows boudoir photographers to successfully escape markets or successfully grow in spite of market saturation, kind of no matter how many boudoir photographers are out there. That happens relatively quickly. Brand, dude, takes like 5 to 10 years. So we ain't got no time to build brand right now. Now, once you're with SQG methodology, we have page 1 visibility. And kind of an initial bonus benefit we get from this is every new slot we take on page 1 of Google, we're actually kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page 1, effectively making them invisible. So when we do that, when we make them invisible, we know that literally 80% of boudoir photographers or searchers do literally never go to page 2. So if we kick them onto page 2, off page 1 and on page 2 deeper, they're effectively invisible to approximately 80% of the market. So that's an extra immediate benefit. Now, page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So when we get that, we have the GBC recommended minimum of getting 3 out of 10 slots on Google search page 1, because the 3 out of 10 slots, a lot of boudoir photographers, most of them will be at 1 out of 10. So when the buyer's scrolling down Google and they're seeing us with a massive number of boudoir photo shoots, or basically kind of with our option, then what actually happens is we're going to be seen as like super awesome solution. People are going to be wondering, why Google is recommending us 3 different times and everyone else only once. So that's why we want to hit the GBC recommended minimum is 3. And as we actually increase, some boudoir photographers rarely will actually have two slots on page 1. So we actually want to hit those. And, when we hit those, we want to, or when they hit those, our 3 out of 10 slots will actually still overpower them. So it's essentially taking care of all scenarios. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer, VBP. So it's our micro universe here. Got a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. We finally have a solution, thankfully. S-cubed methodology. We achieve page 1 visibility. We become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. This is our micro universe here. Now here are my results from using S-cubed methodology when I wanted to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So basically I wanted to rank for this keyword. So I already know, use S-cubed methodology. So we got me, organic slot Instagram here. Organic slot page 1. Organic slot page 2. Organic slot page 3. Slot 4. I mean, not page 1, page 2. Slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4. Then we got slot 5, slot 6, slot 7, slot 8, and slot 10. So we literally got slot 10, or we got 9 out of 10 slots, and we achieved this with only 10 days utilizing our S-cubed methodology. So these are my results I've gotten for it. Now, main event here. We're checking out this boudoir photography business. We're going to see local search Greentown, Indiana, and city search Kokomo, Indiana. See if we got BSS for any of these. So let's go Greentown, Indiana. All right, Greentown, Indiana. So we got cooking here. So, oh, we got an AI overview. All right, yeah, we'll count that one. This is actually what we want. Let's see. Yeah, this is what we want to get. Nice. So yeah, we'll count that as 1. We got 2. We got 3. We got 4. All right, we got 4 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google. We do not have BSS, and we've met the GBC recommended minimum for 3 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google. That's the first boudoir photographer I've seen actually successfully acquire the AI overview for one that I've actually searched. So that's local, Greentown, Indiana. I'll look at city, Kokomo, Indiana. Maybe it's the closest city. Who knows? Somewhere around there. And let's see. All right. All right, we are at 0 out of 10 for city, Kokomo, Indiana. So our 4 out of 10 local, 0 out of 10 city. So we got BSS for the city, and we did not hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search for our city. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, you've done your local search, you've done your city search, and you actually see, you've got BSS for either or both of them, or you're not meeting GBC minimum recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 page 1 Google slots for either or both of them. And you're like, all right, you realize you got BSS. You understand page 1 equality. There's a false belief, and you're like, all right, I broke through that. I need to achieve, I need to get as many page 1 Google slots as possible. And you also understand the market saturation with, the new iPhones, more boudoir photographers coming in, new cameras, more boudoir photographers coming in. But you're also looking ahead and you're saying, man, AI is taking a ton of people's jobs. Last time a bunch of people lost their job, COVID, a huge tsunami of boudoir photographers coming in. So you've actually decided, hey, you got to fortify your life right now and actually get as many page one slots on Google, which is only a downflow of getting as many page one slots on social search for all the social network searches. It's downstream of that. Before all these boudoir photographers come into the market, come into the city, and start making their websites, ranking, competing for page one, kind of like prepare, kind of like the levees in New Orleans, since the city is below sea level, kind of like build those levees up to prevent floodwaters or the flood of boudoir photographers from taking your market share. And you're seeing, okay, SQ'd methodology is the only solution that can get me there effectively. And you want to achieve page one visibility, hit the GBC minimum, recommended minimum of 3 out of 10. Become a visible boudoir photographer, have boudoir search visibility, because you know you need this on your way to become the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you also know that you actually, there's actually hidden back-end benefits of doing this SQ methodology as well we have not talked about yet. First one would be in we're building thematic keyword columns around our brand name, our social handles, our website, and all that. As we do SQ methodology more and more, it increases the probability we get actually recommended for AI overviews. Here at the top, premium placement, only one slot for local search and city search. And you also want the back-end benefits of every time we execute another day we execute SQ methodology, increasing the probability we get recommended through all the AI search engines, ChatGPT search, Claude search, Perplexity search, Microsoft Copilot search, Google Gemini search. These all run on, thematic keyword clusters, authority, age. And so every day we execute the SQ methodology, we're increasing that probability getting recommended there. And we know more, literally, Google still has, I believe, like 89 or 90% of global search share. But dude, AI search, using more and more and eating into Google every single day. I haven't used standard Google search in literally like a year to actually click websites and open and read stuff. I've always been using the Google AI mode. And so you want these back-end benefits. You also decide you want to be the first mover in your city, because you recognize, my current plan is to only work with one person per city on this. So you kind of want to box out your competitors and kind of achieve all this front-end results, hit the GBC minimum 3 out of 10 on page one, kick out competitors off page one, effectively make them invisible to approximately 80% of searchers who never go to page two, and build these momentum on the back end, which is higher probability AI overview, higher probability being recommended AI search, and higher probability nobody in your city ever catches you. Putting more distance between you and them, by building up this thematic keyword columns attached to your brand for the backend for AI search engines to be recommending into the future. So I know last time I used Google or ChatGPT to search for boudoir photographers in a city, dude, it only gave me 3. I'm like, what? There's like 60 in this city. It literally only displayed 3. So we want a higher chance of being those 3. And you also know if someone else in your city jumps on this first, they lock you out, well, you're gonna have to derive or figure out SQ methodology on your own. And then you have to go execute it, but you won't be confident executing it because you don't know if you even derived it correctly to use it correctly. And then you'd have to equal our output with your competitor to just maintain the gap. You'd have to actually exceed our output with your competitor for us, to actually make up ground on us and kind of take back the momentum that we're building in the back-end AI search and the front-end results we get kicking you off page one of Google. So you've decided, screw that. I'd rather be the first mover in my city, give myself the highest chance of blocking out all the boudoir photographers coming from AI. They're going to be forced losing their jobs, but people still got to earn money. And you decide SQ methodology is the solution you want, the path you want to take. So shoot me a DM. Not right now. My DMs are full, or my DMs are closed. The hospital we're not taking any new patients right now. But